Yeah, so we see the other team back again, the Hoodie Mafia team of All Stars with Lysis on it and a bunch of other famous dudes versus Team Pretty, which I don't think they did as well as they should. They got roasted pretty hard by Chessa last time, but they definitely have a lot of pedigree. I believe they came eighth place in Alliance Tournament 14, and they did pretty well in a lot of previous in the previous Fight Club.
Yeah, they came second in Fight Club. Very, very close second. It was 1 point between them and the Pandemic Horde team, Clever Girls. So I would expect I would expect them to do better than they made some mistakes. Hopefully they'll move on and be able to survive the roasting. The other team, Hoodie's team here, opening with an Oracle ban. They're saying this is a super strong ship, and we don't want to hand in the hands of our enemy. So they're taking that away from Team Pretty straight away.
Yeah, they might be going for a kiting team. The Oracle and the APOC especially are very strong against like shield kiting setups.
Yeah, definitely. Team Pretty went for armor last time though, and obviously the Oracle is a really good battle cruiser in an armor setup because you need that range projection to be able to hit out beyond the Execra's kind of range. Team's picking pretty fast here. We're not keeping up very well. Tempest banned out by Team Pretty. Curious ban there. I'm not sure I'd go for Tempest for a blue ban, but we'll see how that works out. Hoodie going for Blackbird. He banning that for the second time, I believe. He obviously does not like Blackbird. And then Pretty banning out Augress. So we've got 3 lodges here still that can be picked in the cruiser slot and the Caracal.
Yeah, and since the blue team will get the first pick, they can maybe they get the Excra if they want to. They can kind of lock the other team out of armor if they choose to. We've seen the Merlin actually picked by the other team. The Merlin's like a really tanky brawler. It's kind of like the shield version of the Punisher. It's not quite as tanky, but it still has like double medium shield extender, so it is pretty decent. It does a lot more DPS than the Punisher. So it looks like they are probably going to go for a shield team. Tormentor, that's interesting. Going for the
I'm pretty confident in saying that's the first time we've seen a Tormentor predicted both minor and major leagues. Why would you go Tormentor over anything else? I guess. I guess it has good DPS against things like drones, small things. It can hit them very well and do decent amount of DPS. So they might be thinking Tormentor in a kind of like anti-DPS, anti-rep bot platform, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, in comparison to the Punisher, it gets the extra tackle slot and it gets the 2 light drones too, so it's kind of like in between the Punisher and the Tristan. Algus picked up now by Team Pretty. Korax is the first one we've seen. Interesting to see the Korax over the Tower War, which has been the favorite for the light missile kiting cruisers, kiting destroyers so far.
Korax a little bit slower, but a little bit tanky. Here, so it's interesting. The Tormentor has a self rep, which is one of the commentators just pointed out to me, which could be the reason they went for the Tormentor. Execra predictably picked by Team Pretty and countered by the Osprey. So both teams have got the optimal logistics for their tank type. So we've got Execra versus Osprey. Those so far we're seeing a pretty kind of standard looking setups. We've got other team with the Osprey logistics, the close range Merlin tackle, and the light missile Korax support, and kind of pretty much identical thing going on with Team Pretty for armor. So it's all going to be about the battleship mix.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Team Pretty decide to ban here. I guess Raven is probably the best ban on the table, and there it is. There's the Raven ban.
They've banned Tempest and Raven, which is something I mentioned that teams could do on blue side earlier, which kind of really limits Hoodie's options now. I think he'll probably he'd banned Hyperion. Interesting. I mean, they could go Rock and they could go Maelstrom, but so far no one's picked any of those, probably for good reason.
I could also see the Scorpion out of them too, which could be kind of interesting.
Yeah, Scorpion's got 4 multi-spec jammers, was it 5? I forget.
I think it's 3 actually. It's more tanky.
3 is it? Yeah, so it can really screw with. I mean, the multi-specs will be really good against the Algus and Tormentor. So if you want to clear tackle and enable yourself to kite, Scorpion is not a bad option, I guess. Although the Scorpion itself is a pretty slow ship. Team Pretty going for Myrmidon. I think we haven't seen that this week. So that's an interesting pick. And
oh man, it's the Drake.
Oh, the Drake is out. Fantastic. So far, Hoodie has gone for a full Caldari setup. Maybe he's taken a bet that he can win a match using a full Caldari setup. Maybe we're going to see the Rock for his pick, Battleship pick. I really hope we do see his all blue setup.
Yeah, I hope we see some role playing local too, like Kaldari roleplay.
That would be fantastic. Come on, TCP, when are you going to do the Caldari Championships? So we're just waiting for Hoodie here. He's thinking carefully about his last pick. Megathron is on the table. That huge hit point tank that doesn't rely on. Oh, he has gone for the Rock. Absolutely fantastic. We
Can't
have
stop the Rock.
Team Hoodie flying an all Caldari setup. This is not something I saw coming, shall I say? This is. I think you're right. I think there's a little bit of roleplay going on here.
It'll be interesting to see what Team Pretty picks up. There's a lot of interesting. I guess you maybe go for the Megathron because they've kind of got a brawling team already, and
I think you've got to go Hyperion for those blasters to have a hope of beating the Drake Rock combo. The Drake Rock combo's got a ton of hit points, and with an Osprey backing it up, they're going to be really hard to break. I think you're going to need a lot of DPS. They haven't got a lot of DPS without the Oracle. And the Harbinger. They've gone Megathron. They've gone. Megathron does have a ton of DPS, but it's not going to get. Not going to have the Executor making best use of its remote armor reppers. So this is interesting. Wow, I didn't see either of these setups coming, to be honest.
Man, I wish they picked a Galanti figure instead of Tormentor, so we could have like Kaldari versus Galanti roleplay.
That would have been fantastic, wouldn't it? No, unfortunately not. So the Tormentor is just mixing things up there a little bit. Elise, do you want to the commentators what they think of this all Caldari setup?
Yeah, I'll take it back from you guys. This is probably my favorite thing about this type of format. We get to see this ridiculous Minmatar team coming from the other team. It's just incredible to see that we see ships that we generally won't see. I think this is the first time we've seen basically every ship on the other team. This is the first time today we've seen each and every one. We haven't seen a Merlin before today, or this week rather. Last week I think we saw one. We didn't see a Corax at all last week or this week. Drake we saw once last week, but never this week. And the Rogue, you can't stop the Rock. I mean, come on, guys. It's an XLASV boosted with an Osprey backing it up. That's going to be like the worst primary choice in the history of the world. Like, it can tank the entire team pretty if they choose to go at it alone. Hopefully they bring it up front and center at 0 and just charge at people. That's kind of what I'm hoping. But Team Pretty taking a bit of a more also kind of a unique setup. They're taking a Myrmidon and Megathron, which is something we haven't really seen. Just the Oracle was banned out by the other team, so APOC just decided not to pair it with anything else. They went with a Megathron Myrmidon combo. Pretty wild stuff. Algos, that's something we've seen quite a bit today. I think we've seen it in every single match. Executor, good armor logi, really solid ship. Rounds out your team pretty well. And the Tormentor, first time we've seen the Tormentor picked totally. That should be pretty interesting. It's a pretty durable little ship, does a lot of damage. Good at killing rep bots, actually. I think that's probably one of the best things it does. But I'm going to give this one to Rain to break down what exactly we just saw happen with this Caldari team versus this Megathron Myrmidon core.
So I don't really know where to go with the strategy and the theory crafting of why they picked these ships, but earlier I was talking to some of the pilots who are actually flying in the championship, and they brought up the fact of having ship skins. And since these matches are all in Thunderdome, ship skins are free. You can literally get anyone that you want as long as it's on the server. And so I'm really hoping this Caldari team has all matching ship skins. I don't care what color it is, as long as they all match, just to show up with the swag. Because obviously they're making a statement by picking all Caldari. That was it seems like a very deliberate choice by them. And so I'm hoping that they come out with some swag. And then Team Pretty, I'm kind of rather sad that their frigate is Amarr, but I think Amarr and Gallente can have some similar matching colors, so I'm hoping that they come out with some swag as well. But I honestly don't even really care what the fight looks like. I'm just paying attention to the skins and the vanity of this match.
Yeah, there are some pretty cool options that can be chosen. You can kind of get some of the red stuff. You can get some CB stuff going on. I just want to roleplay some whales and kind of float around doing whale stuff. Who knows how that's going to work out. We have the skins. Will be interesting to see. I'm kind of curious as to see what we're going to see from... what is this Corax going to do? What is this Merlin going to do? Chester, sort of breaking down for us. What are we going to see out of this other team?
So basically, this is going to be one giant brawl, and assuming that assuming the Explorer pilot doesn't just burn away into the sun, it's going to be pretty interesting. The Drake actually is a ham Drake, and is extremely deadly. I actually like it better than the Myrmidon, and I like the Roke better than the Mega as well. So the reason why I like the Drake better than the Myrm is because it has this lovely damage selection, and I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see if Pretty is going to be able to pull this back around. I like other team. I really do. I like the fact they've got, in my opinion, just a better ship line for brawling in general. I think Pretty's going to have to be very, very elegant in their choice of not only target calling but in their flying, which I don't know if they can manage that.
Very nice. Very well put. I think, I don't know, at least I can say for one thing, the other team are winning the hearts and minds of the studio right now. Madden, what do you make of this craziness? Do you like the Drake? Do you think it's gonna own really hard, or do you think there's gonna be a few problems with tackling stuff?
I mean, first of all, I have to like the Drake. That's like a law. I'm pretty sure in EVE, if you read like the code book, the rule book behind the game, it actually says you love the Drake, accept that and move on. So yes, I love the Drake, and I'm a big fan. Bait Drank always wins. It's beaten me so many times. I expect a Cyno for some reason every time I see one. So that's my expectation in this match. You know, I know it's impossible. I think, you know, the Megathron has more DPS than the Roke, and they're both essentially close range. But the Roke has so much more tank. The Myrmidon and the Corax have, you know, some actual. So the Drake and the Corax have some actual range. The other team is faster. They're all blue, and blue's my favorite color, and they're all Caldari, and that's cool. My pilot's actually Caldari, so a fan of that as well. So I think, you know, off the bat, I'd say other team is probably in a lot stronger position to win this. I think the Tormentor was a terrible choice. Why would you put a self-rep ship with Logi? It confuses me to no end, because it's going to get alpha probably, and then probably the Algos will go next if we see what we've seen in a lot of matches. But I think you're going to get a brawl here. I really, really, really hope the Executor doesn't just run away. But if it does, I'm going to laugh until I cry. So win-win there. It's definitely going to be a really fun match to watch. So I'm excited.
Well, I'm glad you are picking the other team based purely on aesthetics. Again, you're going for blue as your favorite color. I do know that Caldari are loved by many, and the other team are answering the age-old question of FC, can I bring Drake? So I'm kind of excited to see how it goes. Bay, what's your takeaway from this? We've actually got all the teams in local, so we've only got a few minutes before the match begins. But yeah, Bay, tell us a little bit about what you think is going to happen here.
Yeah, I think as other commentators alluded to, other team has gone for a brawling setup. They can't kite in these ships. Rock is painfully slow. Drake is okay, but it's not a fast battlecruiser. Osprey is afterburner, so they cannot. The other team cannot go quickly, so they're going to have to go in for a fight. That being said, I don't know why Team Pretty went for the Megathron. I know it's got a ton of hit points. It has a good amount of DPS, but it's not going to get repped by that Executor particularly well. And the Executor, if Woody pilots as well as I believe he can, I know that Chess is a doubter. I think other teams going to find it really hard to kill this Executor. So I'm surprised that they didn't pick an armor battleship to go in and brawl against that Drake and Rock. I think this is going to go the other team's way, but I hope it's a really close match and there's lots of explosions.
All right, well, really close match with lots of explosions. Sounds pretty good. I'm going to send it over to the commentators for this match, the final match of the day, the other team versus Team Pretty. Chesser, Madden, take it away.
All right, Madden here with Chesser for today's final match of the EVE Championship Major Leagues. We've got an exciting one here, full of Caldari ships with not the same ship skin. We are disappointed in all of you. No Kestrel on field, also painful for some of our people in the booth. But I think this is going to be a fun match, and I think Chester's going to have something to say about Team Pretty, so I'll speak quickly about the other team here. They've got some nice Rogue action. Kellen Darklight leading them off. You've got the Drake, great Drake. You got the Osprey, the Corax Merlin here. They look good. Not as good as they could, but still pretty good. Chester, you have anything to say about the Executor here?
Yeah, I'm liking Team Pretty doing a tactical switch here. Havoc on the Executor controls. And then we also have, of course, the Myrmidon, the Megathron, Alagos, and the oddly placed Tormentor. Interesting to see what's going to happen here. The entire other team warped in at 0, which is, I think, where they should be. They're going to brawl, while Team Pretty decided to go with a more staggered approach. Interesting, I think, from both teams. The question really to me is, how are either team going to get to the back line to get on top of the Logis? They don't have any projected DPS. They don't really have any fast ships that Logis can't outrun. It is important to note that both of the Logis are AB fit, so MWD fit battle ships and or battle cruisers should be able to run them down. The Rogue probably isn't fast enough to catch the Executor, but the Drake probably is. So match just about to begin now.
And as we get started, it'll be interesting to see what type of drones they get put out. I'm seeing some bouncers, which is very unusual. But, you know, will the Megathron and Rogue... I see Rogue already taking damage, which is the shock of the century.
Oh
my God.
Huge gameplay here. Huge gameplay change being here. Okay, so both battleships are right in the middle, just brawling it out. Hoodie Mafia actually gets away and is burning away, I think, very intelligently. It's the question if he's going to stay on and continue to do damage to the Mega, or is he going to try and chase down the Executor, which I would like to note is in range. But this Megathron, I don't know if it's going to be able to withstand it right now. Hoodie Mafia looks like he's going to stand by and do as much damage as he can.
I mean, I'm proud of the Executor for staying in range. I think that's a really good move. But this Megathron, structure tanked, armor is not as capable, so obviously he's going to take damage. No matter what the Executor does, it's going to be really challenging for him to stay up. As this Rogue, which has infinite tank almost, probably hasn't even started using its own self-rep, it's going to be really hard to kill, and this Tormentor is probably the most useless ship on the field.
You know, I have to say, really, what we're going to see here is why having a selectable damage type like you can with the missiles right now. So the Drake is going to be able to shoot, you know, Nova Fury into the Mega. And of course, the Mega being structure tank is going to have 60% resist across the board, but its armor, because it's only T1, is actually going to have a pretty big hole to explosive. That's really awesome. While on the other hand, the Mega's locked into Therm Kin, which against the Rogues, considering it has an invuln, isn't the best damage type to be shooting against the shield tanker. Like I said earlier in the match, the shield team really has the advantage here, not only
Look at that Osprey, though. Look at that Osprey. That Osprey is in armor. That's bad. It's going to explode.
It is. It's actually going down here. Interestingly enough, we had the... Oh, it is dead. Great call.
Oh my God.
Yeah. The Myrmidon, PFR's Myrmidon, going back to go and kill the Osprey instead of staying in on the main brawl. And you know what? I actually think that's a big mistake, because now you have Rogue Drake versus Myrmidon, and I know whose chances I pick in that.
I mean, I agree with you, but they still have logic on the field. You know, I think they took a match from 100% going to lose, so they have a chance. While I'm saying that, though, Algos not moving super quick.
So the Executor just was rammed by the Drake and webbed, because like I said, the Drake is fast enough to catch the Executor. As I said earlier, the battlecruisers, the Drake getting away really early and not being webbed down by the Megathron was actually really important, because the Drake is really the only thing that can catch the Executor. Wow, I can't even talk anymore. The Rogue is still held down in the middle of the map, but he's going to slowly finish off the...
That Algos is going to die, and the Executor is going to go right after.
The Algos and the Tormentor that are on him, he's really in no real danger, and the Executor is going to fall here. Question is what is the Myrmidon going to do?
Yeah, I mean, if you're like, I mean, honestly, if you're Team Pretty right now, you know, you don't have damage type choices, you know, you don't have the DPS, you don't have the self-rep capabilities. You know, what do? Who do you go after? How do you come back?
Well, really what they needed to do is they needed to get their Myrmidon on top of the Drake, and you needed to have the Myrmidon there to stop the Drake from running down the Executor and killing the Executor slowly over time with its hand missiles. It's going to take a long while, but it's going to happen. Right now, they're sending the Tormentor to go and peel the Drake, but that actually, the Algos, but that just blew up in a fire. So the Drake Hoodie's going to continue on to just force the Executor with damage. Kellon now in the middle of the row can easily brawl down anything that's left on the grid, but really, I really like the other team's chances here.
Yeah, I think, you know, Team Pretty said, you know, Galente has highest DPS and tank on paper. That's awesome. But as you find in a lot of EVE, paper is meaningless and not valuable. And in reality, damage types, weaknesses of hull tanks, ability to change, missile ranges. All these little things are what actually make a match. And while the Myrmidon has great tank, the Executor has great tank, the Tormentor has this interesting self-rep. The Megathron's more powerful. The Rogue wins. As the Tormentor now dies,
Tormentor
and
now
the
down
Executor
extra
dies.
I have to say, I really do not like Cyrix piloting at all with the Myrmidon right now. He's got blasters, he's got tackle, he should have been there peeling for the Executor, and the fact that he is completely just staying back and just letting his drones essentially do damage. Tech 1 fucking drones when you have a full rack of, blasters and essentially just letting the Executor down. It seems to me that the team playing really out of their depth here without understanding just like basic tactical options here. The Myrmidon now it looks like he's just burning for the edge of the arena, but a poor play. I think it was smart for the Myrm to go after the Osprey right away, but in doing so you lose that initial brawl in the beginning, which is okay. I mean, if you kill their Logi, but then you needed to keep your Logi alive and play for the long game, and the fact that the Myrmidon was content just leaving Tech 1 drones instead of attempting to go and peel the Drake with the Executor there to keep it up, because the Executor could easily keep up the Myrmidon under the Drake, no problem, and it could also position itself to keep the Tormentor holding down the Rogue. They actually would have had a chance there because the Myrmidon would have killed the Drake in the long run, and then they could have held the Rogue down and killed it, because there's no way the Rogue's killing the Myrm underneath the Executor reps. That's really what they needed to do, and it seemed to me like that didn't even completely cross their minds.
Yeah, and as this Myrmidon has decided he's going to get Edge of Glory and only the Drake can stop him, go Drake, go. I think you're right. I really dislike the choice of saying I'm going to go with T1 bouncers and not use rep drones, which could have maybe kept the Executor up alive a little bit longer, kept the Algos alive a little bit longer. Damage drones T1 level are not that effective. I don't like it in general.
Yeah, I agree. They need to be used in
rep
conjunction
bots.
with the blaster rack that all of these ships have.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a blaster comp. You're supposed, and the Myrmidon literally imploded. It hit Edge of Glory, I think. So there you go. And with that little bit underclimactic ending, we will send it back to the booth.